Right, so we're trying to fix these empty spots in our lawn, and we're dealing with a type of grass some people might not be familiar with, but here in the South, St. Augustine grass. It's a very thick stem, it runs across the ground, and a lot of times it runs back over itself, which is totally unnecessary. So I'm to fix this hole right here. First thing you want to do is do some heavy raking. So we're going to heavily rake this area and clean out all the weeds that are starting to grow there. And then now getting close, let me show you how this works. So I'm gonna cut right after each one at the node. You can see the roots right here. These are the brown areas that are right here. I'm gonna cut just after the node. And all the ones that have leaves that I've just cut, this is the other method. I've showed you the hoop method. This is the other method. I'm gonna push this into the soil, just like this. And once I get it into the soil, I'm going to tuck it in just a tiny bit and then make sure those roots have contact at that node. So I'm going to do that, and you want to put something in every couple of inches to fill in a spot. So here we go. So right here, I'm probably every 2 inches I have something I pushed in. It won't look amazing right at first, but this grass grows really aggressively. So here's another spot where it's growing over the top. This is where I'm going to get my donor grass from. Tuck in the end of the part I cut off. Now I've got, here's a stem. I'm going to cut just to the next node, just above it. So I'm leaving about an inch or so of workable stem that I can push into the ground. And I really just want it to hold itself in place long enough to get rooted. That stem at the bottom is probably going to die away, but as long as it's there long enough to get rooted, I have a really good chance that I can refill this space with grass. And this one I'm going to turn because I can see that the root nodes are trying to be on this side. So I want to make sure that there's soil contact with my root nodes. Now, if you're doing this method, you're not going to mow your lawn for a little while. You're going to want to make sure that you don't mow for probably, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks in the spot that you're doing this in. So I've already showed you the hoop method. This is the straight stem method. So I'm just cutting right after each of the nodes, just above where the roots you'll see come out, and pressing them into the ground. Making sure that the nodes have contact with the soil so that those new roots that will start to develop will be able to get into the soil and get a good purchase so they don't get blown away when your lawnmower comes through. All right, so I've almost filled this area in. I'm gonna take this guy as a runner, just trying to get in here, and I'm gonna help him get into the ground because he's running at the right spot. This, you can see, has barely any soil contact because there's too much debris that's keeping. This is why thatching is important, is you remove a lot of that debris that keeps the roots from making contact. These roots weren't able to make contact and they were just sitting on top of the soil. So I'll just do a little trench here. I don't want to glaze the soil, so I might use the top of my tool and then kind of press those in place, and hopefully I'll get a little bit better contact. That's not a good example. All right, so I'm going to finish what I was doing. This is some more places where the rhizomes grew over the top of something else, and I'm going to cut right at the node. Just gives me a little bit of a spot where I can push that in. It works really well. And I've got a couple more spots to fill in. So here's another spot. Fill that one in. All right. We're almost done with this spot right here. And it took me a little while, but I've just filled in a 1 square foot hole with new grass. And we finished this one as well. So check that out and see if it works for you. Thanks for looking in.